Hi guys! Today, in this video, I'm going to make a critique of the film that I've recently watched, The Pursuit of Happiness. First, the background. The Pursuit of Happiness is an American film released in 2006, with starring Will Smith as Chris Gardner. Will's son, Jaden Smith, co-starred as Gardner's son, Christopher. The film is a biographical film. It's based on an American businessman, Chris Gardner's nearly 1 year struggle being homeless while raising a toddler son, before he succeeded to provide a better life quality to the family and no longer need to worry about where to settle at night, whether there will be an adequate money to spend for a living. What is the film about? In 1981, in San Francisco, Chris invested all his savings in portable bone density scanners and thought he would make a lot of money out of this business. He would carry the scanners to every hospital and sell them to the doctors. However, what he did not expect is that the doctors believed it's not worth purchasing one. Like in the film, they consider the scanners as unnecessary luxuries, which were only slightly better than common X-rays, but the price was doubled. Therefore, he barely sold one and only made the little income to support the family. He needed to sell at least 3 scanners each month for rent, the daycare of his son, and all other needs for living. Also, he has to sell one more to pay off his parking tickets. His wife, Linda, worked as a hotel maid who was forced to work double shifts for the past 4 months. There is one day, Chris met a stockbroker who was on his way to work, and Chris chatted a little with him, which inspired Chris to become a stockbroker himself as well. Despite he had no college degree but only studied until high school, he was still able to show his intelligence when he solved the Rubik's Cube, which was stated impossible by the manager of the company, Dim Witter, which Chris intended to get an internship in. The manager was impressed because at that time it's when the Rubik's Cube was just introduced to people and is known as the puzzle that only smart people can solve. As a result, Chris got an offer for the interview, even though he showed up in informal clothing because he was running from the police station after arresting for failure to pay off the parking ticket. The good thing was that the interviewers appreciated his determination and willingness to work hard. So, Chris was hired to become one of the 20 interns and compete for only one position as a stockbroker in the company. Chris' wife, Linda, decided to leave him at that time and went for a job in New York. She gave up on getting custody of Christopher and agreed to remain him with Chris. Because there were no salaries given during the 6-month internship, Chris had to continue to sell the scanners and was not sure if he and Christopher could possibly get by during their hard time of financial difficulties. After Chris sold some scanners and things started to get very uneasy, his money in the bank first of all was taken away by the government, so he ended up with only $21.33. Resulting in them being homeless. They were forced to spend the night in the bathroom of the subway station. The next couple of days, they waited in a long queue just to get a room for a night in the homeless shelter. Chris was lucky to find his last scanner back and repaired the broken light before selling to a doctor. He completed his last order and was able to move in a better shelter with Christopher. Eventually, he beat all other competitors and got the full-time position as a stockbroker in Dim Witter. The epilogue reveals that Chris went on to form his own multi-million-dollar brokerage firm in the end. My favorite scene is when Chris is playing basketball with Christopher. At first, he does not approve of Christopher's idea of becoming a basketball player. So he tells Christopher that he is not good at it and he should not spend his time playing basketball all day. Christopher instantly gets fed up and starts packing up the basketball. Chris notices it and probably realized that he was once in the same position, being discouraged by people to give up on his dream. So instead of destroying the dream of his son, he decided to teach Christopher to protect his own dream. He says, "Don't let somebody tell you you can't do something. Not even me, alright? You got a dream, you gotta protect it. People can't do something themselves. They want to tell you you can't do it. You want something? Go get it. Period." What did I learn from this film? You must never give up on your dreams, no matter how many obstacles come in your way. At the start of the film, Chris barely made enough income to support the family and has lost trust from Linda. He could not afford taxes and had to file for another extension after he had filed one already. Despite the disapproval from his wife on Chris' vision of becoming a stockbroker, Chris did not give up and insisted to create a better life quality to the family. In order to make the sales calls more effectively, Chris did not want to waste time on drinking water and going to the bathroom so he can make it on time to get a room provided by the homeless services. He studied at night to prepare to perform the best on the stockbroker license test to make sure he could get a stable job that earns more than selling scanners. Chris always brought up the part of the Declaration of Independence, which Thomas Jefferson wished to secure for all Americans their unalienable rights. We hold this truth to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When Chris was in the deep downfall of his life, he questioned how Thomas knew to put the pursuit part in there. He thought it's because happiness is something that people can only pursue, and maybe something that people can never actually have. Chris was struggling to be happy, but he never gave up pursuing for better. Chris was able to sell all of the scanners in 4 months, something he hadn't been able to do previously. So, hard times can drive you to do some hard things and get the job done. And maybe, once you've been through and reflected on a hard time, you will realize it turned out to be some good experiences. At last, I highly recommend this film and it's totally worth to watch the whole film. So, yeah, see you next time!